In this video, we will be talking about a very important topic, something that we hear a lot from consumers right now. It seems like with all of the uncertainty, interest rates, what's the economy going to do? People just go, you know what? I think I'm going to wait. And that is a very relatable response. There is a cost for waiting. So today we're going to just look at a few of the variables that can contribute to that equation. What is the cost of waiting? So the first one that we're going to look at, Jason, is home appreciation.
Sure.
What sort of home appreciation have we seen over the last couple of years, last 5-10 years? What do you got?
Okay, so I brought some data with me. I will tell you, I've got data going back 50 years. So if
Okay.
like the last couple of years, I'm going to say that it's been low, it's been negative appreciation the last couple of years. So, things have dropped from like the peak, which would maybe be 2022, somewhere in there. I don't even know off the top of my head, but let's call it 2022. Since then, prices here at least have dropped. So I'm talking about our local market. I'm not talking about nationwide. There's no such thing as a nationwide real estate market, first of all, because real estate markets are hyper local. But having said that, there are some things we can look at. And for the data that I have here shows that over the past 50 years, we've experienced a 4.27% appreciation rate. So if you keep that in mind, if you buy a house right now for $400,000, it doesn't mean that every year this is going to happen, but theoretically, if that's 4.27%, next year the house is going to be 17,000 higher. So 400,000, you add 4% to that, you get 17,000. So now, if they're not appreciating, you're not losing out on appreciation, obviously. Right now, it may be more of a flat market, and so you may not be losing out by waiting on in terms of appreciation. But so you can't count on that. But there are other things that can change. And long term, you are going to lose out on appreciation, but short term, you may not be. But
Right.
talk a little about rates. I know that's one other thing we wanted to discuss today. Like, and what happens if you wait and the rates are? You talk about that rates going up or down,
Yeah,
all the above.
for sure. For sure. And, rates are one of the things that we have no control over as consumers. Banks, they
Right.
don't have any control over rates generally. So what you'll see is that interest rates are always changing. And so
Mhm.
it could be that interest rates 6 months from now or 12 months from now are higher.
Right.
If rates are 6.5% now, they could be 7%. So the argument would be the
Unfortunately,
devil. I know, right?
could happen. Yeah. Go ahead.
Could happen. Well, and the argument would be that the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, or what's the expression? Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, or something.
Right.
So the idea is that if you know that you can budget for 6.5%, then if it's lower next year, then that's great. You know that you can qualify for that. But if it's worse next year, could you stomach that? So,
Mhm.
and just to put a kind of a number around it, let's say you have a $400,000 loan and interest rates do go up 0.5%. They go from 6.5 to 7.5 over the next 6 months. That would be about $133 difference in your monthly payment. So it's not
That's a half
huge.
percent or 1%.
0.5%. If it goes
Is it,
from 6.5 to 7%.
okay.
Sorry.
I think you said
Yeah,
seven
if
and a
I
half
said
there.
7.5,
That's
yeah,
okay.
my fault. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
good call out.
So
So
$133 a month on like an average price home,
per
essentially.
month, yeah, per
Right.
month. So, but again, the flip side could be true. Rates could be lower the following
Mhm.
year, so it could
Right.
be you could be saving $133. Now, the difference is that you can always refinance to get
Mhm.
the lower interest rate if you already own
Mhm.
the home.
Mhm.
Um, but if you were waiting to buy because you're waiting for interest rates to go down, the one thing to remember about that is that there's a lot of people that are doing that. So when interest rate starts to improve, then
Exactly.
buyer demand is going to pick up, which
Yep.
means that appreciation is going to start to kick in.
Yep.
So
Yep.
while you were winning with maybe a slightly lower interest rate, maybe you're competing with more buyers, so you're having to pay a premium just to get the home. So
Right.
that would be something else to consider.
Or it makes it harder to find at all if inventory tightens up like it did a few years ago. But yeah, generally speaking, there are not a lot of good reasons to wait short term. I wouldn't think. If you're
Right.
waiting long term, you have other reasons. If you're not going to live in the area very long, those, time is a factor, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think that's probably the most important point, really, is that while we can't control what the market's doing from an appreciation perspective, we certainly don't have a crystal ball and we can't predict what rates are going to be 6 months, 12 months from now. While
right.
both of those variables are ebbing and flowing and totally out of our control, the one thing that we can control, and this is just an investment principle generally, is time. If we
Right.
take an investment and give it time to incubate,
Hmm.
5 years, not 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years,
Hmm.
looking at, like you mentioned, with home appreciation over 30 years, 50 years, that's going to be really meaningful over time.
Hmm.
So the point there would be that instead of trying to be a day trader with real estate and
Right.
predicting appreciation and um, interest rates,
Hmm.
getting in the housing market when the time is right, that is to
Hmm.
say, when you're not going to be moving within the next 6 months, or some of the things we've talked about in other videos. As long as the timing is right, then you kind of want to get in the housing market so that you can start to benefit from the long-term appreciation and rate gains.
Right. Exactly. And I think you keep in mind that 4.27% average is an average. And so some years
Right.
you may have 10%, you may have 20%, like we did a few years ago, or 50. But you're probably not going to have too many 50% years like we did during COVID. But you might have a 5% year, you might have an off year where it's going to go down. The 4.27% includes all of that. So for the past 50 years, it's gone up on average 4.27%. It's just important to keep in mind. It
Right.
includes all the up and
Yeah.
down stuff. So
Exactly, exactly. And I think that, again, the error is to try and time the entry perfectly to go, aha,
right,
we've had a
right,
couple years of appreciation, time for a
right,
decline. I'll
right.
time it perfectly and then maximize my appreciation. This is not a bad thought.
Hmm.
But there's a great book called Psychology of Money. I think we've talked about. I don't know if we've ever mentioned it, but
Hmm.
it talks about how what's the expression? You're tripping over dollars to pick up pennies or something like that. The idea
Hmm.
that by over engineering our investment strategy, we're really kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, when just going steady Eddie is the better strategy long term.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Cool. Well, enough about
Very
that.
good. And that's all I have to say about that. It's
That's right.
no,
That's all she wrote.
it's just important. It's important to not. I think I will say this as a final thing. What I have noticed is that people who try to time things typically don't time them the way they hope. They wait too long, and the people
Mm,
who are just in the market looking end up accidentally making a lot of money. Like they end up,
hmm
they're like, oh, I need to go ahead and buy a house for my family or for my, I want to be here a long time, whatever. They go ahead and move forward. They end up doing fine. Most of them, not
Yeah,
all of them, not all of them, of course, but
sure.
the people who try to time it a lot of times don't do as good a job as people who just are looking and go ahead and do something.
Yep.
Honestly,
Well, Jason, that very much describes what happened to us. We were not we weren't trying to game the market, and
right?
we just got in at the right time. And
It's
what do
the way
you
it
know?
works. It's good.
That's right.
So,
Good
what should
stuff.
people do if they want more information?
Drop a comment below, and we'll respond for sure. That's our commitment. We will respond to every single comment. If you comment, I will respond.
Well, we will.
There you go. Jason will respond. Or you can, of course, you can find us on social,
Sure,
and please feel free to reach out any way possible, and we're happy to
absolutely.
help.
Very good. Good to see you. Thanks.